Lately I've seen people advertise boom boxes which are for sale, and in the description they say you can hook up your cell phone or your mp3 player to these boom boxes. And the boom boxes I'm talking about are the ones that don't have a line in input, but they only have a phono input like this. The phono inputs are actually intended to be hooked up to a turntable, a record player. Once you hook up a turntable to these phono inputs here, the signal, the music, actually it goes through what's called the equalizer circuit. And what the equalizer circuit does, it changes the frequency response of the input signal and also amplifies this input signal. So the big question here is really, can I hook up my cell phone to, or my mp3 player to these phono inputs, or I think you really cannot hook up your cell phone or mp3 player to these phono inputs because of this equalization, and also because the phono preamplifier, it's actually built to handle really low level signals. So when the signal goes in here, it needs equalization, because when, let's say, a record is made, what happens is the music on there has been recorded with the frequency response that isn't flat. As far as this is concerned, that means that the low frequencies, for example, they have been decreased in strength, they've been reduced by a lot, and the high frequencies have been boosted during the recording. Now when you play it back here, when you hook up your turntable, the opposite happens. The low frequencies are boosted a lot, and the high frequencies are reduced a lot. So you can imagine what it's going to sound like. But if you really want to try it out and the sound is acceptable for you, you're going to have to get one of these cables. One end's going to have these RIAA type plugs on it. They're also called phono plugs. And the other end here has got like a miniature headphone plug. That's the same kind that, like, say if you buy like an mp3 player, that's what you get with that. That's the same size. I think it's like 3.5 millimeter or something. And then I would just have to plug it in and then start my music. But you have to have your music, now you have to turn this like all the way down. I would basically turn it pretty much as low as it can go. Hook it up and then control your volume on by using the volume controls of the boombox itself. So what you don't want to do is turn your cell phone on, let the music play, turn the volume up high, and then run that here through your phono input, and then have to turn down keep your volume low on your boombox, because you're gonna like definitely overload the phono preamplifier. So just for the hell of it, I downloaded an app called PA Tone, which is free. It's basically just a frequency generator, and I set it up to put out 1,000 hertz signal, and I turned my phone up to the maximum. So I've got the cable hooked up, and the other end is hooked up to my oscilloscope. And when I did this, what came out was a signal of 400 millivolts peak to peak. Here's how it looks on my oscilloscope, the maximum output of my cell phone, the 400 millivolts peak to peak. So that's about 400 millivolt peak to peak is about, let me see, it's around 140 millivolts RMS. That's feeding in a sine wave of 1000 hertz. So now I have the volume, I think, at the halfway point, and I'm going to see what kind of an output that I'm getting. I think that's about, looks to be about half. I'll go to my oscilloscope. So here's my oscilloscope reading in half volume. I got it set up for 50 millivolts. The oscilloscope set up for 50 millivolts per division. And here, as you can see, I'm reading 50 millivolts peak to peak, which is about, let me see, 50 millivolts peak to peak would be divided that by 2, would be 25 millivolts, and then times that by 0.707. So let me see, that should be around 17 millivolts, I believe. So anyway, theoretically it could be done if you kept the volume low enough, but you still got that problem with the equalization. The best thing to do is just to get a boombox that has a line in input, which that means you don't have to deal with the equalization anymore. And the line in inputs, I think they were about 150 millivolts line in, as far as I remember. So you should be able to use that. So I'll have to get a boombox with a line in and try it out. So I don't know what the phono overload level for this phono preamp in this Sharp GF9191 boombox is, but I'm guessing it's not going to be like 300 millivolts or 400 millivolts or something like that. It's going to be somewhat less. So if I decided to go this route and was satisfied with the sound, at least in my phone, with my phone here, I have to keep the volume at maybe 1/4 or so to be on 1/4, or even less to be on the safe side. I don't think I could use like half volume or have it all the way turned up. I'm talking about the volume on my cell phone, of course.